Hello and welcome to Just Hoops. The Miami Heat and Boston Celtics are matched up for the third time in 4 years in the Eastern Conference Finals. There's a lot of bad blood in this series, but so far Miami has dominated, specifically at the defensive end of the floor. To dive into the numbers real quick, let's talk about Boston and their numbers so far this series. A 111.8 offensive rating, 107.7 points per game, a 13.5 turnover percentage, 51.7% effective field goal percentage, and 45.7% field goal percentage. To look at the Miami Heat side of things, these playoffs, they've been defensive geniuses, playing an elite level at this end of the floor, and in this series, they're averaging 13.3 stocks per game on top of it all. So in this video, we're going to dive into the Miami Heat defense so far this series and how they're jamming up one of the best offenses we've seen in the NBA. To start, let's talk about the shell base look Miami has thrown out there that has slowed down the Boston Celtics mightily. So to start things off, I want to talk about the help side and how this has affected the series thus far. Miami's a highly switchy defense, but they do a great job at rotating and protecting the rim at all costs. In this clip here specifically, we're going to look at the gaps. You can see the on-ball pressures there. They're high in the gaps. They're loading the nail, being active in that stunting baseline. They want to force the ball to the baseline to allow that middle help. In terms of the help side, Bam or the big is the primary helper most times. If Bam is guarding a perimeter player or he is not on an interior spot, it's the low man comes over and they wheel all the way around. A full rotation will happen, but they only help when necessary. In these next few clips, you can see that Bam, Max Strus did a great job at guarding individually. Yes, there are stunts from the perimeter coming in, but overall, they stay home, they deny, and make it very tough for passes out. They trust their individual defense, and it is seen time and time again. But when help is needed, they do a great job at allowing the low man to come over. They rotate out. They try to stay connected to theirs, only helping when necessary. In this clip here, Bam stays individually great off of that closeout, and then they force a tough shot. In this series, and in this clip specifically, you can see the pressure and bodies that they're showing in the gaps, trying to prevent Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and killing them at any cost, and that resulted in helping off of the non-shooters and making Smart, Horford, and all the other guys on the floor beat them on a nightly basis, taking Brown and Tatum out of their rhythm and out of their offensive flow completely. Another part of their success has been closeouts. So look at this clip here. Max Strus gets up in the space of Jaylen Brown, contests the shot great. In this clip here, you'll see the directionality that Gabe Vincent closes out on. There's the pass into Marcus Smart, and on the kick out, Gabe Vincent closes out on Brogdon, forcing him to the baseline. Great closeout by Gabe Vincent there to take the shooter off the line. Here we're going to see a great job by Caleb Martin. He's first loading the gap against Brown, and then on the closeout, he just makes a great effort, forcing Brogdon baseline, but also making that extended reach to contest the shot and force an air ball. In this last clip here, we're going to get two examples. First, Cody Zeller does a great job forcing Al Horford off the line. Then Caleb Martin does a terrific job getting up in the space of Jason Tatum and also forcing him off the three-point line into a really tough two. And to finish out this base part of the defense, they did a great job at first loading on the ball, making it tough for there to be driving angles. But when there were, they did a great job at rotating fully, protecting the rim first and foremost. You can see most of the time on these drives, there's 3 or 4 Miami Heat players in the paint. Then they're helping each other on the outside, fully rotating, highly switchy, highly connected defensive unit that has been great all playoffs long. The way that they're communicating, switching, pressuring the ball, rotating in the help side, plugging the rim, just doing all the little things as a rotational shell, just defensive philosophy and just understanding standpoint is sensational. And then beyond that, they're doing a great job at getting rebounding. They're doing a great job at forcing turnovers, which we'll talk about later. They're just doing all the little things at a high level that result in winning. Next, let's talk about the zone that has presented a lot of issues to the Celtics. In terms of positioning first, you have the tandem at the top, 2 active perimeter defenders. The wings are high and wide, usually hiding defenders or putting guys there to rest, and then Bam, or the big man on the floor, is in the middle of the floor anchoring the defense. We're going to go in order of how the clips happened in Game 2 that presented a lot of issues to Boston and were the primary times the zone has been utilized throughout the playoffs and in this series so far. The active tandem at the top has been massive at communicating, staying connected to each other, rotating out, always having a hand up on shots, running them off the line, forcing them to drive and make plays that way, keeping them off the three-point line. The wings have been high and wide, highly active, denying when the ball gets in the middle of the lane, it going and dropping and denying that corner pass, flying up, bumping off the shooters at the top, knowing where to match up and where to clog lanes, and just being active in that way. They're forcing a ton of turnovers. Duncan Robinson did a terrific job throughout game 2 at denying that pass out to the corner, getting out there and making plays happen. Jimmy Butler is sensational doing that also. And then as we continue to look at the middle of the floor, Zeller and Bam are just really good at covering space, knowing where to be to position themselves to prevent drives from happening, making plays at the rim, and rebounding to finish off these possessions. The way Miami is using the zone, though, in this series is different than usual. They're using it to make three-point shots tough to find and just difficult in general. This is the opposite of what most zones do. Zones are utilized to prevent paint touches, keep teams out of the paint, and force a ton of tough threes, while Miami is doing this to run them off the line, force turnovers, be aggressive on the perimeter, and then let Bam clean up everything in the paint. The way that they're high on the outside, the tandem is very extended. They're denying Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown whenever possible. And then on top of that, they're just up and wide. They're denying passes out to the corner. They're fanning out incredibly well. And just by doing this, the three-point shot opportunities that Boston has gotten with the zone defense has been very low quality. There's always a hand up. They're usually off the bounce. There's not a lot of in-rhythm, step-in, 1-2, knock-down, three-point opportunities that they've gotten all season long. And this is because of how they're doing the zone. The mentality of this right now is we're going to make three-point shots tough. We're playing wide. Bam, you got everything in the middle of the floor. The three-point shot is what gives Boston life, gives them energy, and gives them flow offensively. So the more we can take them out of that through our zone can help the offense. So you can see that there's not as much movement defensively by individual players. It rested Jimmy Butler on the wing. It rested Max Strus to go down and knock down big shots. It allowed Duncan Robinson to play big minutes and knock down some important three-point opportunities. Just overall, the zone was a big thing that changed game 2 overall, led Miami Heat to a win. And I think it's something we can continue to see to finish this series out and can be a great tool in the NBA Finals against either the Los Angeles Lakers or Denver Nuggets with different philosophy and mentality behind the usage of the zone. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the grit, activity, and just overall energy Miami has brought to this end of the floor. Forcing 9.3 steals per game in this series, 4 blocks per game, a 13.5 turnover percentage by the Boston Celtics in this series is just sensational. The hand activity, the way that they're staying in front individually, the way that they're taking charges and hunting those out. In game 3, there was a ton of opportunities for charges to be called that were no calls. Just overall, they're putting themselves in position to slow down this Boston attack, make plays happen. The hand activity, Spo talked about it in a timeout, the way that he wants them to swipe, he wants them to reach, he wants them to make these plays happen, and trust the guys behind you to rotate and help like we talked about earlier in this video. The whole team defense is based upon pressure and activity, and the way they start this at the point of attack, the high gaps, just overall presenting things like this at the point of attack make it very difficult for Boston or any offense to get in a rhythm. And as we finish this video out, we're going to go to game 1, where these turnovers and high activity plays resulted in winning the first game of the series and setting the tone overall. You can see that they do a great job individually. Jimmy Butler set the tone in that fourth quarter, being a ball hawk off the ball, and everyone stepped up to the plate that he created. The way that everybody was high in the gaps, pressuring, being great at the point of attack, high in the gaps, knowing when to deny, willing and able to gamble. Just the way that they played together as a unit. They forced some travels by Jason Tatum late that resulted in them not getting shot opportunities. And then at the end of the day, the Heat culture is all about making winning plays. And that's seen here by diving on the floor, trying to collect the loose ball. It turned into a jump, but this energy and effort results in winning. So the Miami Heat are on a magical playoff run right now with an opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals with one more win. As you watched in this video, the defensive end of the floor has set the tone for them. I hope you guys learned something about what has made them great throughout this playoff run at that end of the floor. And for more content like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you in the next one.